Hola, my lovelies. It's me, author Alexandrian Fonte, coming to you with a new review. So, now today's author is author K Blue. Now, I know yesterday that I had told you guys that we were going to do a mainstream author. Well, this is also an author that isn't a part of our repertoire, or she's not on our list. And so when Jen downloaded the book and she sent it to me, I'm assuming she was under the impression that the author was Caucasian, but she actually isn't. So, since I already told you guys that that's who we would be reviewing today, author K Blue's book, I'm still going to review her. Um, I really, really enjoyed this book. And so basically what we will be doing is we will be doing we have a few submission authors left for this week. I'm hoping that we get some more. We will be, I believe Joel Harris is one of the ones that's on the roster. I think there's two other authors, but that's pretty much it. So we are hoping for more authors. Now, if we don't get any more authors this week, then what we will be doing is what Jen and I normally do. Jen will randomly pick a book off of Amazon, and then either she or I will read it, and then we'll come on and do a review because it's still indie authors. Because this is an indie author channel. Um, I kind of felt like more authors would come onto the channel. I don't know if it's like my little brown face or whatever, but I just feel like a live review should go way long. I just feel like it should go much further than a review like on Amazon or something. Someone who actually loved your book and they're telling you. But then I guess on the flip side is if the person didn't love your book and it's a live review. So I have no clue. So anyway, doing reviews is very hard for the author and the reader sometimes. So um, I tend to try to be as delicate as I can when I'm doing a review because I know people's feelings are involved and it's like something that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into, and you want you want people to like it, and if people don't, and you get those harsh reviews, they could be like really heart stopping. So I try not to do that because I don't think that's cool. I think you can leave a review and make constructive criticism about a book. Now, of course, the author's not going to like the review if it's a constructive criticism review, because I don't like those, but 9 times out of 10 I take them to heart if the reader is like sincere in what they're saying or it makes sense to me, because in the end the ultimate decision is the author's. They can say whether they're going to choose to to stop, to fix whatever or what the reader suggests, or in their eyes it's not a problem. So they 9 times out of 10 they won't, because like I mean I wrote one of my historicals. The character, I think I said this before, was pregnant for 36 months. That when the reader sent me that little gentle message, I could not stop laughing. Minnie and I, my editor, we were laughing for like a good 20 minutes because Minnie was like, that was one hell of a effing pregnancy then if she was pregnant for 36 months. And so stuff like that, authors love for you to tell them if you catch that stuff. But when it comes to like actual criticism of the world, the story, or whatever, sometimes we can be very childish. you know a review can hurt the author's feelings and then they lash out. Well, I don't do that. I just grin and bear it because like I said, I had to learn that the hard way when I first came out in 2011. I hadn't even been out for a year and I learned that the hard way and I never opened my mouth again. But so basically, that is what we're going to be doing because we only have two authors left on the roster that for our submissions. So we're hoping that we get more. But we want to keep the channel going, of course, one, because everybody's like freaking, they're pretty much sheltered at home, or you're on lockdown, curfews and stuff like that. And so we just want to try to continue to entertain. And so I feel like if I'm doing these reviews of these awesome authors, indie authors, you can go out and pick up these books yourself. And then a lot of these authors offer their books for free as well. Because like tonight's author, this book is free on Amazon. And it was a really good book. It's the first book in her series. And so it's free right now on Amazon.com, so you guys should really check that out when when we're done with the review. There are some other stuff that I'd like to talk about too, but I'm going to wait until after I've done the review. So now, as I was saying, I'm going to take these off so I can see up close. Tonight's author is author K. Blue, and this is one of those juicy mob tales. So, the author, just one sec. Yeah, this one is free right now. So it's called Keep. Ooh. Oh, I didn't see that before. It says no tismits. No tismits. No rules. So basically no fear, no rules, and it's in Romanian. I knew some juicy, delicious looking Romanians to myself. Wait, does this say legs here around his waist? That is hysterically funny if it does. Oh my God, I'm going to have to reach out to this author and ask her, because if that says legs here around his waist, that is like super, super sexy. Anyway, so, whatever. Tonight's book, here it is, and it's called Keep. K. Blue, Romanian Mob Chronicles. Okay, check that out. Sexy hot man on the cover. And then he's got all these tats, and that's why I was laughing, because this tat on his waist looks like it literally says, put legs here, or something like that. Yeah, so that would be hysterically funny. Anyway, so now tonight's book. You have to get my notes. Okay, so Keep follows Vasily. And Vasily is a Romanian mob boss, and he's the boss to the clan Petra, which is so funny because I knew a kid growing up. His name was Peter Petra when we were growing up, and he was Romanian. I actually dated a couple of Romanian guys too. Anyway, so basically, he's having this meeting with the money dude, and the money dude's name is David. And basically what he does, when I say money dude like that, what I mean is he launders the money. And so basically from all these clans, if I'm not mistaken, there's 6 of these major clans. And so this author actually spins off to some of these clans too. So I'm definitely going to have to check out these books, because this like mob boss type, that's like my little guilty pleasure that I do like reading. But I don't read them like often like I read paranormal, but that's my little guilty contemporary pleasure. And so he's having this meeting with David, the money dude. And so he's basically trying to get him, or he's negotiating like new terms or whatever, or terms like, because I'm assuming it doesn't say it in the book. I don't remember reading that. It's saying that basically Vasily's father was he was the ruler, and I'm assuming that he passed. And so now the clan belongs to him, and he pretty much has to, put it down to show his way that, this clan is going to be ruled by him now in his ways. And so he's negotiating with him. And so they're sitting there and they're having this meeting, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, would you like something to drink?" And so he doesn't really say anything, because you could tell right off that Vasily does not like him, because he's just giving off like this Dave dude. He's giving off like this douchebag vibe. And so so he's like he doesn't really say anything. And then all of a sudden he goes, "You, hey, B, get over here. Get him something to drink." And so basically, Vasily like kind of looks and he's just like, really? Did he just do that? And then so he's like, do you want something to drink? And he's like, no. And then he's like, oh, but do you like her? Do you like her? And he's like, look at her, look at her. She's gorgeous. She's this, she's that. She's a H. And he was like, and you could have her for like a few minutes if you like. And he was like, but one of the what do you call them? Darn it, my mind is slipping here. Um, one of the like the catch to it, I forget the word that I'm trying to use, but anyway, the catch to it is that I have to watch. And then so he's just like really disgusted with him, and he's like he's like this creep. He's that, and he's having like this internal conversation with himself. And then he finally turns to look at the woman, and so she's got like this. She got blonde hair to her butt. Um, she has on like these stilettos, this really tight dress. She's very meek and she's not saying anything. She's just pretty much standing there. Her face is red, and so she's like she's still not saying anything. And then so he's going all into this this Dave dude. He's going all into this like soliloquy basically about what she could do for him, this and this and this. And then because of the fact that Vasily is sitting there frowning like this, you trifling mother, blah 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 blah, in his mind, he's assuming that Vasily is pissed off. And like because of the fact that he is this Romanian mob boss, he hasn't really set, like, he launders all the money from the bosses, but he still doesn't have the footing that he wants. So he's not sure if he's pissed off at him and basically is gonna like harm him. And so he's trying to make him comfortable, make him feel better. And so all the while Vasily is having like this internal conversation with himself about this girl or this woman. And he's like, she doesn't look like she belongs here. Something is out of place. Something is wrong with this whole entire thing. And then finally when he says, oh, you can, basically saying you can do her, he looks at him like, what? And then she's like, she freaks out, but she still doesn't say anything. She's still standing there like meekly or whatever. And so he's like, no, and so he's like, yeah, so we're pretty much done. And then he goes, are you sure you don't want her? And then he goes, yeah. He says that he wants her, right? And then he's like, oh, okay. Well, he's like, but then I get to do blah, 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 blah. And so Vasily's pretty much like, no. And then he's like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm taking her permanently. And then he's like, the woman is like, wait, what? And then he takes her by the arm and he leads her out of the place. And so he's yelling at him like, bring back my property, blah 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 blah. And he's like, pretty much, he turns and he looks at him and he gives him this look like, if you say one more word, I'm gonna put a bullet to your brain. And so he walks out, he rushes out of the, no, well, he doesn't rush, he leisurely walks out of this dude's, David's house, and he's taking her with him. And so she's like pretty much running like to keep up with him because he's this big, huge, Romanian dude. And so he puts her in the car and he takes her. And so now it's like, she's like, okay, what the hell? Where am I going? And she's like holding on to the door handle and basically like she's about to like jump out of the car. And so he goes, yeah, that would pretty much kill you. And if it does, I won't drive back to pick you up, or you'll be dead, and I definitely won't tell anybody that you jumped out and you died right there. And so she pretty much looks at him like, what the F? And so she kind of feels like I've been taken from the pan and thrown into the fire, because at least with this David dude, she knew what he was capable of and what he was about. But now she's with this guy and he's taking her and she has no clue what's actually going to happen to her. And so he takes her and he basically, okay, so yeah, so he takes her and he takes her to his house. And then like she gets out of the car and she follows him in. And so like the minute he closes the door and locks the door, she's pretty much like in panic mode, because she's like, oh my God, he could kill me. He could do whatever he wanted to me up in here. And so she's kind of like freaking out inwardly, but she's been trained pretty much by David that she's not going to say anything to him. And so, so he walks off from her and he goes, it's like a little single apartment. furnished single apartment or whatever. And so, or that's kind of what I got it as. She doesn't say exact. She just says his home. And so the way that she describes it in the book, it was like a single apartment to me. And so he walks into the bathroom and he comes back and he goes here, and then she like looks up at him and he's handing her a washcloth, because in his mental appraisal of her, he was like, she has so much makeup on her face. The makeup is pretty much caked on her face, and he wondered what her skin actually looked like. And so he describes her as like, her skin is like sienna. And so that would probably be sienna would probably be somewhere between my skin and maybe my daughter's. And so that's when I knew right there that this was an IR book. It was like all this time I thought because she didn't say what the characters were, and the fact that she's got blonde hair to her butt. And so this is where you find out. So he goes, take that off. And she, like, he gives her the washcloth. And so she automatically realizes that he wants her to wash all this makeup off her face. And so she washes all the makeup off, like, as best as she can. And then his eyebrow kind of raises, and then he goes, take that off. And then she rips off the blonde wig, and she's got, basically, her hair is curly and it's in a bun. And so he's like, wow, to himself, because he's like, she looks nothing like what. And then he goes, take that off. And he basically gives her like a t-shirt, one of his, which would probably reach to her thighs, because he seems that tall. And so he gives her the t-shirt, and she's like, can I use the bat? She doesn't know what to expect from him, and she's completely petrified of him because of all the crap that she's been through with the douchebag a-hole. And so she's like, can I go to the bathroom? And he's like, yeah. He pretty much nods, like, whatever. He doesn't really say anything. And so she goes into the bathroom and she changes into this little shirt. But then she realizes that even though as tall as he is and as huge as he is, she's a woman. She's got curves, boobs, butt, whatever. And so the shirt actually only comes to her thighs. And so she's just like, shite. And so she walks out, and then he points to the bed. And so she's like, okay, now here comes the violation and all the stuff that I'm used to. And then when she gets in the bed, and she sort of like curls to the wall, just like sort of waiting. And then he gets in the bed and he turns off the light, and she's just like, wait, what? And so basically they become friends. And then he realizes that, like, the months of her being there with him and him giving her, like, pretty much leeway to do whatever she wanted in the realm of his home, she was just like, okay, but he's gonna come for me. And he's like, no, he's not, because you belong to me now. And so even though she's comforted in the fact that she never has to go back to this butthole, she's still property. And so she's just kind of like, okay, I kind of felt like we might have been developing something different. And so one day she decides to go and visit a friend. And instead of telling the guard, because now the guard is watching her, because they've gone to a couple of meetings, and this douchebag tried to treat her the same way that he was treating her when he pretty much owned her. Now, I'm not exactly sure where this takes place, because surprisingly, I mean, I read it, but I don't remember her ever. So I don't know if it's taking place in America or Romania. I'm not sure, because there was no world buildup of that. So, I mean, I'll talk about that stuff when I finish it. But anyway, and so she's gone to a couple of meetings with him, like these crime boss meetings, and then she had already done them in the first place with the douchebag. And so at one of those meetings, the douchebag David, he tries to treat her like he treated her for all of this time, and Vasily's like, no, you need to apologize. And so he's like, what? And then so he does it so deftly and like so like, stealthily, and rage, like all of this silent rage, like, mother effer, look at me one more time and I'll put two to your dome. And so the way that's pretty much how his voice is coming out. And so he goes fine. And then like the guy who's hosting this crime meeting, he Vegas, Vargas, I mean, he's like, I'm sure David didn't mean anything by that. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind apologizing because he sees that the situation is about to just go postal. And so he goes, yeah, well, yeah, I'm not trying to mean any harm, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. And so then Vasily goes, no, no. Don't apologize to me. You need to apologize to her. And then he's like, F you. I'm not apologizing to that B, blah, 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 blah. And so Vasily's just like, really? And then the Vargas dude is like, you know, still trying to calm the situation. And then he looks at her and he's like, fine, I apologize, Fawn. And so because that's her name, the main character, her name is Fawn. And so basically you could tell that it's not, and Vasily's like really not happy about that, but he's like, okay, I'm gonna pick and choose my battle, but he's not gonna disrespect her in front of me. And so basically that pisses her off though, because she's like, you know, I pretty much left one property to get to the next. And then so they have this conversation, and then she's like, that's not cool, you know, can I get out of this dress? And so this book is chock full of sex, you guys. So there's a lot of sex in this book. And so the next day she decides to go and visit her friend. And now this is a friend beat that she had before she ever got with this douchebag David. And so you learn later on in the book what happened to her. But I'm not going to tell you guys about that. I want you to read it. You learned what happened to her and how she got with this David dude in the first place. And so the next day she decides to go and visit her friend that she hasn't seen in years, to the point where when she was best friend, they grew up together, they were best friends. And then she fell in with this David dude. And so she goes to visit her friend. And then she winds up, it's like, you know, love. They laugh, cry all together. And then she winds up staying there like all day. But when she left on her own, because the day before when they had that argument about property, he was like, you don't belong to me. You don't belong to anyone. You belong to yourself. You're not property. So you can do what you please. But what he didn't say was within reason. He assumed that because of the fact that she came from that butthole, she would understand that. But she didn't. And so she left. And she went to visit the friend. And she went by herself. And then when she went by herself, the douchebag shows up. And he's like, get in the car, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no. And so she pretty much just starts running or whatever. She's like, never again. And then she gets to the friend's house. And they basically spend all day together. And so Vasily leaves his meeting. He goes home. And she's not there. And so he automatically starts thinking the worst. And so he goes looking for her, blah, 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 blah. He finds her at her best friend's Esther's house, and Esther's like, who are you? No, you're not coming in here, blah, 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 blah. And so you know, she's pretty much like, Esther, you know, because he is a Romanian grindballs and everybody knows him. And so he's like, he calls her name and he's like, let's go. And then she's like, well, wait a second. And then he like snatches her up into his arms, and he's trying to walk out the door, and like Esther stands in front of him. She's like, no, you're not leaving with my friend, you know. And so basically he takes her home, and they have this big argument, and then he realizes at that minute that she's a liability to him because he loves her. He is actually head over heels in love with her, and he has no clue how to show it. He has no clue how to be in that love. And so he just knows that it could be pain, because now, for the simple fact that she means something to him, and he showed other people that she was important, he feels like now he just pretty much brought about her downfall. And so that is where I'm going to stop. Now, what I have to say about this book. This book was really, really good. I liked it. It's one of those books that I like to call an easy read. If I have to star this book, I would give this book a 3.75. Because I was still missing, even though it was a good book and it was read really good, it was still like, I was still missing that oomph. Like the scene where after what happens when, I'm not going to tell you, but when David does break into his house, after that scene, and what he does after that, I don't know, maybe I'm vicious. Maybe I'm vicious, because I just wanted more. I just felt like that ended way too quickly. I wanted more, like, just because he is a Romanian crime boss. I wanted to see some serious, like soprano type crime, you know, vengeance going on. But I didn't get that. And so, um, basically, I would, like I said, I'd start this book a 3.75 because it was a good book. It was a really good book. It's just that I was missing that whatever, that just that would have taken it to a 4.5 stars because the book was good, but it was just missing that whatever it was for me. But I really like the book, and I'm hoping like book two will have all that I'm craving for, because yeah, what he did, no, I'm sorry, that was too easy to me, and I would have liked to just seen more. And so basically, I'm hoping like book two has more oomph to it, because like I said, book one was good. I'm giving it a 3.75 because it was a good read, but it was an easy read to me, And when Jen and I say easy read, we mean that the book read all the way through and it was good, but there was no like, oh my god, what the f, that kind of like Game of Thrones type crap, or How to Get Away with Murder type stuff, where when how to Get Away with Murder first came out, that first season, every time I would literally be like, wait, what? Or when Game of Thrones first came out, every freaking episode I watched, I would literally stay there like this for at least a good like 40, 50, maybe 60 minutes. I mean 60 seconds, like looking at the screen like, no effing way. That could not have just happened. I mean, it would blow, those episodes would blow my mind, because the Red Wedding, I've not been able to get over that to this day. I sat there and literally looked at the screen for at least a good minute. Like, no, that didn't happen. No, just completely shocked out of my mind, to the point where I threw the remote. I was like, what? And then thing completely went off because I was too shocked to say anything at the. So that's kind of, ouch, 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 sorry. Ow, butterflies attacking me back here. That's what I was missing. That whatever that oomph was that, made a good book, like an amazing book. I kind of felt like it was missing from the book, but the book was still good. Still good. And I still want you guys to go out and get this book, because, the flow, the characters, the way the interactions be in the book, everything flowed. It was awesome. It was good. It was, it kept you entertained. But I just still feel like there was that, like, that was missing. And for the simple fact that she writes a series. She didn't end it on a cliffhanger. She ended it on what's next. What's coming next. It's like, I like to do those type of cliffhangers. What's coming next? Not the ones where you just blatantly end the story and then the reader's just sitting there like, really? Really? So basically, that's pretty much it to this review. This author K. Blue, and the book, once again, is called, I should probably put my vape down. The book, once again, is called Keep, and it's by author K. Blue, and it's called The Romanian Mob Chronicles. So you guys go out and get this freaking book, because it is good. It is a freebie. You don't even have to pay for this. It's a freebie. So and with this quarantine going on right now, you're gonna need lots of stuff to read, because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they're basically putting every freaking show out there on hiatus. So you will pretty much be watching either DVDs, or maybe you have a streaming service like Hulu, Netflix, any of HBO, any of those. I don't even know if HBO is going to be. I doubt that, because basically the industry out here, the Hollywood film and television industry, it's going on hiatus. They're not doing any shows. So, Flash, Nancy Drew, all the shows I watch that I'm pissed off. Nancy Drew, anything that Riverdale, What was I? Oh, I just watched the last episode of Legacies yesterday. Basically, if it's not, I mean, if it doesn't have a show already on right now, like they did an extra episode, you won't see it, I guess, until they decide to let us know. So all of the shows, basically, all the primetime channels, all that kind of stuff, they're all on hiatus. So they're probably just going to be running reruns, which sucks big major, because especially where they ended Legacies, I'm just really pissed off about that. And then Nancy Drew wasn't as bad because you know something else is coming, and the fact that they had already built up to that, so maybe they had already known, I don't know. But where they ended Legacies, I was very upset. So that's pretty much it to this review. So you guys will have lots of review. I mean, I'm social distancing myself, it's just me. So I shall be here giving you reviews and trying to entertain you. And that's pretty much it. Now, tomorrow we will be reading. Tomorrow is our normal day. But tomorrow's romance. So we will be reading. We don't actually have an author for tomorrow because the two authors that we have are they're fiction authors. So we don't have any new authors to read. So Jen will probably randomly pick someone. Actually, tomorrow we will. That's right. Tomorrow we'll be reading Indy Jones's. We'll be reading Indy Jones's book because yes, we do have that submission. And then the other authors that we have, there's two more authors. They're actually the regular fiction authors. So tomorrow we'll be reading N.D. Jones's book, and then for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, then Jen will more than likely, if we don't get any new submissions in this week, then Jen will most likely buy something off of Amazon and send it to me, and it's still giving you guys good, reviews and letting you know because it's indie authors regardless. And what Jen normally does is if we get a book that the author that we don't know the author or the author hasn't submitted to us, what Jen normally does is Jen will find them on Facebook, which is hysterically funny. So like Stephanie Burke, we didn't know her. She's actually part of our realm now. So Jen will find them on Facebook and then post the review onto their page or whatever, or Instagram or whatever, Twitter, whichever social media she decides to use, and she'll normally find them and then post that for them, and then they get to see that, hey, you have a review. So that's pretty much it. So tomorrow we'll be reading N.D. Jones, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will more than likely randomly pick a book from Amazon to show you guys. And then we will also be announcing on Friday, we are going to be doing another $50 gift card. Basically, what I need to say about that is the $50 gift cards, no offense to our authors, but those are for the reader. So if you're an author, you pretty much can't, join in the fun. Because we get those sponsored from like people that we know, like friends of our channel and stuff like that. They'll like sponsor something for us. If you are interested in winning gift cards and swag and all that kind of stuff, you can go over to my channel because it doesn't matter who you are over there. Not just no, but it really it doesn't, because over there, if you were an author, you would still be a reader. So it doesn't matter over there. And we're actually offering author swag. We're doing bags, t-shirts. Basically, that's all of our summer stuff that we'll be doing. We like to give those away so people can walk around town with them. And then it's like it's an awesome gift for readers, but it's also promo for us. So, and that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys tomorrow with author Indy Jones. Not just see you later.